Welcome our video, The History Room.
Part 1. A Very Quiet Night in Ancient Rome. Hey guys, tonight we're easing into something old, dusty, and comfortably distant. So dim the lights, put the phone face down. Let the city outside keep doing whatever it's doing. We're heading back to ancient Rome. Not the exciting Rome with swords swinging and emperors yelling, but the softer version. The Rome that exists after sunset, when the marble cools, when sandals are kicked off, when even the most powerful people in the world are just lying around, thinking thoughts they probably shouldn't be thinking. This is not a night of triumph. It's a night of digestion, insecurity, and mild existential dread, which, honestly, is very Roman. So let's begin. Quietly. Rome, after dark, did not sparkle the way modern cities do. No glowing skyline, no comforting streetlights, just oil lamps flickering badly and the occasional moon doing most of the work. The streets were narrow, uneven, smelling faintly of smoke, sweat, animals, and yesterday's dinner. Somewhere in the distance a cart creaks, a dog barks once, then immediately regrets it. Most people are asleep, or trying to be. In a large townhouse on the Palatine Hill, an elite Roman family settles in for the night. This is the kind of house built to impress people during the day. Columns, courtyards, painted walls showing gods who look suspiciously bored. But at night, it's just a maze of rooms and thoughts. The head of the household lies awake. He is a senator. Of course he is. Everyone important is. He's staring at the ceiling, wondering if the emperor likes him this week. Last week, he laughed at the wrong joke, or didn't laugh enough. It's hard to remember. Either way, that sort of thing tends to echo in your head at night. Roman politics did not turn off after sunset. If anything, it got louder in the dark, because during the day, you could distract yourself with meetings, speeches, and pretending to care about public virtue. At night, there was only the memory of who had more influence than you, and who might be quietly sharpening a metaphorical knife. Down the hall, his wife is also awake. She's thinking about alliances, marriages, which cousin might be useful, which cousin is less useful. Roman elite families married strategically, and often within a very tight circle. This was considered normal, healthy even. No one here is worried about genetics. That comes later. Much later. For now, it's all about keeping power neatly folded within the family. She listens to the house breathe, slaves sleeping on mats, guards shifting their weight, the faint drip of water in the courtyard fountain. She wonders if her husband will survive the year. Statistically, it's a coin toss. Elsewhere in Rome, someone else is awake, the emperor. Whether it's Augustus, Tiberius, or one of their many successors, emperors were rarely known for peaceful sleep. Absolute power does not come with a calming bedtime routine. It comes with paranoia and indigestion. The emperor's bedroom is large, but that doesn't help. He knows everyone wants something from him. Senators want favors, generals want promotions, relatives want to not be executed this week. And the gods, supposedly, want sacrifices done correctly, which is stressful because the gods are famously vague. He rolls over. The sheets are expensive. The mattress is fine. Still can't sleep. He thinks about succession. Rome was never great at that part. Who comes next? Who might poison whom? Who smiles too much at dinner? There's always someone smiling too much. Outside, the city continues its low murmur. Rome never fully slept. Even at night, bakers were working. Slaves moved through the streets on errands that couldn't wait. Drunk men sang badly. Someone argued loudly about dice. Somewhere, a poet was composing something deeply mediocre and feeling very proud of it. In a modest apartment building, an insula, a different kind of Roman lies awake. This building is tall, crowded, made mostly of wood, which is not ideal. Fires were common, collapses were common, sleep, therefore, was optional. A shopkeeper's wife listens for creaks that sound worse than usual. She counts her children,
again, just to be sure. Her husband snores. She considers waking him, then decides against it. What would that help? Rome was a city of extremes, gold and filth, luxury and anxiety, power and very thin walls. Even the wealthy were never fully comfortable, because comfort suggests stability, and Rome was built on constant motion, expansion, competition. A quiet night was never guaranteed. Back on the Palatine, a young aristocratic boy stares into the dark. He's supposed to grow up strong, stoic, Roman, but right now he's just a kid wondering why his tutor keeps talking about honor while everyone else seems to lie constantly. He's already been promised in marriage to someone he hasn't met. That's fine, normal, expected. He's more worried about disappointing his father, which in Rome was practically a sport. Roman fathers had near absolute authority within the household, life and death authority, technically, though actually using it was frowned upon, usually. Still, the idea hovered there, like background noise, comforting somehow, or terrifying, depending on your role. The boy eventually drifts off. Rome will shape him soon enough. Across the city, a philosopher lies awake, also thinking too much. He believes in reason, virtue, self-control. He has written about how sleep is unnecessary luxury. Unfortunately, his body has not read his work. He reflects on the nature of fate, on how Rome claims to be ruled by law, but clearly isn't, on how emperors rise and fall, while the city just keeps going. He finds this both comforting and deeply annoying. He finally dozes off mid-thought, which feels appropriate. Night moves slowly in ancient Rome. There are no clocks ticking loudly. Time is measured by oil burned, not minutes passed, by the position of the moon, by the sounds fading and returning. Somewhere a guard yawns, another shifts his spear. A slave wakes early, because someone always wakes early. The emperor eventually sleeps. Not well. He dreams of accusations, of family dinners gone wrong, of statues that look like him but disapproving. In the morning he will wake and rule the known world. Tonight he snores softly, like everyone else. Rome, for a brief moment, rests, not because it wants to, but because even empires need to lie down eventually. And with that calm, uneasy quiet settling over the city, let's stay right here a little longer, because Rome has many nights like this, and many people who never quite relax in them. We'll just let the lamps flicker, let the thoughts slow, and drift gently onward into another Roman life.
Part 2. Sleepless Gods and Tired Emperors. As the night stretches on, Rome doesn't suddenly change. It just shifts its weight. The lamps burn lower now. Oil grows precious. Shadows get longer, softer, less defined. This is the hour when even the gods, carved in stone and painted on walls, seem less confident about what they're doing. Roman religion never truly slept. Temples were quiet, yes, but belief stayed awake. Somewhere, someone worried they had offended Jupiter earlier that day, or forgotten a small ritual, or mispronounced a prayer, which in Roman thinking absolutely counted. A priest lies awake, replaying a sacrifice in his mind. Was the liver the right color? Did the bird fly left or right? Did it hesitate? Bird hesitation was never a good sign. He tells himself it was fine. It always is, until it isn't. Rome was deeply religious in a very practical way. The gods weren't distant spiritual concepts. They were bureaucrats, moody ones, easily annoyed, obsessed with procedure. Get the steps wrong and the universe might quietly punish you later, probably with bad weather or politics. In another villa, an aging general lies awake, staring at a wall decorated with scenes from his own victories. He used to sleep easily. Campaigns will do that to you. March all day, fight a little, eat whatever you find, then collapse. Simple. But now he's retired, and retirement is terrible for the Roman mind. Too much time to think, too little applause. He wonders if history will remember him correctly, if his enemies will rewrite things, if the emperor ever truly trusted him. Probably not. No emperor ever fully trusted anyone who knew how to command troops. His body aches. His thoughts wander. He considers writing memoirs. Most Roman elites did. They were rarely unbiased, but they were confident, extremely confident. Eventually, he falls asleep imagining future generations misquoting him. Elsewhere, far from marble villas, a group of slaves shares a quiet moment before dawn. This is the calm before work begins again. They lie close together for warmth. Someone whispers about rumors from the forum. Another hums softly. Sleep comes in pieces, short, uneven. Rome ran on enslaved labor, and everyone knew it. But at night, titles softened. Everyone was tired. Everyone needed rest, even if the morning would separate them sharply again. A young slave boy dreams of a life he's never seen, a countryside, a family that didn't belong to someone else. He will wake before sunrise, but for now his mind wanders freely. Rome cannot follow him there. Back on the Palatine, the emperor stirs. He wakes briefly, heart racing, convinced someone just said his name. No one did, but paranoia has excellent hearing. He thinks about legacy again. They all do. Statues, titles, how many times his name will be repeated after death. Roman elites were obsessed with memory. To be forgotten was the real death. This fear shaped everything: buildings, laws, wars, even bedtime thoughts. He turns over and tries to think of something pleasant: a hunting trip, a banquet, a flattering speech. It helps a little. In the city below, the night watch passes quietly. They carry lanterns. They look for fires, for thieves, for trouble that hasn't happened yet. Rome feared fire more than invasion. An enemy could be negotiated with.
Part 2. Sleepless Gods and Tired Emperors.
As the night stretches on, Rome doesn't suddenly change. It just shifts its weight. The lamps burn lower now. Oil grows precious. Shadows get longer, softer, less defined. This is the hour when even the gods, carved in stone and painted on walls, seem less confident about what they're doing. Roman religion never truly slept. Temples were quiet, yes, but belief stayed awake. Somewhere, someone worried they had offended Jupiter earlier that day, or forgotten a small ritual, or mispronounced a prayer, which in Roman thinking absolutely counted. A priest lies awake, replaying a sacrifice in his mind. Was the liver the right color? Did the bird fly left or right? Did it hesitate? Bird hesitation was never a good sign. He tells himself it was fine. It always is, until it isn't. Rome was deeply religious in a very practical way. The gods weren't distant spiritual concepts. They were bureaucrats, moody ones, easily annoyed, obsessed with procedure. Get the steps wrong and the universe might quietly punish you later, probably with bad weather or politics. In another villa, an aging general lies awake, staring at a wall decorated with scenes from his own victories. He used to sleep easily. Campaigns will do that to you. March all day, fight a little, eat whatever you find, then collapse. Simple. But now he's retired, and retirement is terrible for the Roman mind. Too much time to think, too little applause. He wonders if history will remember him correctly, if his enemies will rewrite things, if the emperor ever truly trusted him. Probably not. No emperor ever fully trusted anyone who knew how to command troops. His body aches. His thoughts wander. He considers writing memoirs. Most Roman elites did. They were rarely unbiased, but they were confident, extremely confident. Eventually, he falls asleep imagining future generations misquoting him. Elsewhere, far from marble villas, a group of slaves shares a quiet moment before dawn. This is the calm before work begins again. They lie close together for warmth. Someone whispers about rumors from the forum. Another hums softly. Sleep comes in pieces, short, uneven. Rome ran on enslaved labor and everyone knew it. But at night, titles softened. Everyone was tired. Everyone needed rest, even if the morning would separate them sharply again. A young slave boy dreams of a life he's never seen, a countryside, a family that didn't belong to someone else. He will wake before sunrise, but for now his mind wanders freely. Rome cannot follow him there. Back on the Palatine, the emperor stirs. He wakes briefly, heart racing, convinced someone just said his name. No one did, but paranoia has excellent hearing. He thinks about legacy again. They all do. Statues, titles, how many times his name will be repeated after death. Roman elites were obsessed with memory. To be forgotten was the real death. This fear shaped everything: buildings, laws, wars, even bedtime thoughts. He turns over and tries to think of something pleasant. A hunting trip, a banquet, a flattering speech. It helps a little. In the city below, the night watch passes quietly. They carry lanterns. They look for fires, for thieves, for trouble that hasn't happened yet. Rome feared fire more than invasion. An enemy could be negotiated with. Fire just spreads. A watchman pauses, listening. The city breathes. Wood creaks. Someone coughs. Nothing seems urgent. He moves on. Inside a small room near the Tiber, a poet is still awake. He's convinced inspiration strikes best at night. History will not confirm this, but he believes it deeply. He writes about love, about loss, about Rome itself, eternal and cruel and beautiful. He believes future generations will quote him. They might, or they might not. Rome produces many poets. Only a few survive the centuries. He rereads his lines, nods, scratches some out, adds more. Eventually, sleep wins. It always does. As the hours crawl toward morning, dreams ripple through the city. Some pleasant, some anxious, some prophetic, depending on who you ask. Romans believed dreams mattered, especially the unsettling ones, especially if they involved ancestors, or animals behaving oddly, or vague symbols no one could quite explain. Tomorrow, someone will consult a dream interpreter, or a priest, or both. Rome loved layers of reassurance. A noblewoman dreams she's standing alone in the forum. Everyone is watching. No one speaks. She wakes uneasy. She will mention it casually at breakfast, just casually, as if it means nothing. It means something. It always does. The city shifts again as the sky lightens, almost imperceptibly. This is the deepest part of night, the quietest, the moment when even Rome seems unsure of itself. Soon roosters will start lying loudly about the time. Soon bakers will emerge with fresh.
Part 3. Dawn Anxiety and the Invention of Another Day. The first light does not arrive politely. It leaks. A thin, gray suggestion seeps into the sky, barely noticeable at first. Rome doesn't wake all at once. It twitches. It sighs. It reluctantly opens one eye and considers whether getting up is really worth it. For many Romans, dawn is not inspiring. It's a reminder of obligations, of hierarchy, of who gets to stay in bed and who absolutely does not. In the grand houses, slaves are already awake. They move quietly because silence is safer. They light lamps again, ironically, because interior rooms still sit in shadow. They sweep courtyards that were already clean. Cleanliness in elite Rome was not about dirt. It was about control. A household slave pauses, rubbing sleep from one eye. He knows the rhythm of this house better than its owner does. He knows which floorboards creak, which doors complain, which family members wake angry for no clear reason. This knowledge will never be rewarded, but it will keep him alive, which in Rome counts as success. Upstairs, the senator wakes with a familiar heaviness in his chest. Not pain, just dread. The good, solid kind of dread that comes from living under an emperor. He lies still, listening, trying to decide what version of himself to present today. The agreeable one, the serious one, the silent one. He chooses serious. Serious feels safest. His wife is already awake. She always is. She's mentally running through the day, who they'll see, who they'll avoid, what rumors might need gentle steering. Roman elite women were excluded from formal politics, which meant they specialized in informal politics and were often much better at it. She sits up, calls for a servant, and asks casually if anything interesting happened overnight. The servant says no, which means maybe. In the imperial palace, the emperor wakes badly, again. He had dreamed of the Senate chamber. Everyone was standing. No one spoke. They just stared. Dreams like that stick with you. He washes. He dresses. He allows himself a brief moment of irritation at the entire concept of ruling an empire before breakfast. But the machinery is already in motion. Advisors are waiting. Petitions are stacked. Someone wants a pardon. Someone wants land. Someone wants someone else quietly removed. Power does not wait for coffee. In the streets, Rome comes alive in layers. Shopkeepers lift shutters. Bakers sell bread still warm enough to comfort you emotionally. Water carriers shout. Animals complain loudly about being animals. The insulae empty downward. People from the top floors descend carefully because gravity is not forgiving and staircases are narrow. Everyone smells faintly of smoke. This is normal. A laborer stretches sore arms and wonders if today will be worse than yesterday. It probably will, but hope is a stubborn thing. Children run messages. They always do. Rome runs on small legs and big errands. At the Forum, the stones are cool underfoot. This space will soon fill with voices, arguments, speeches no one asked for, but for now it belongs to early risers and pigeons. A philosopher stands quietly, watching. He tells himself this is the center of civilization. He tells himself meaning lives here. He also tells himself he should have slept more. Nearby, a young noble prepares to make his morning appearance. This matters more than it should. Being seen matters. Who you greet, who greets you back, who pretends to not notice you. Rome is a city of performance. Morning is the opening act. He adjusts his toga, already uncomfortable. Roman clothing was not designed for ease. It was designed for symbolism and mild suffering. As the sun rises higher, noise builds, carts rattle, voices overlap. Someone argues about money. Someone always is. In a quieter corner, a woman visits a shrine. She leaves a small offering. Nothing extravagant, just enough to feel responsible. She asks the gods for protection, for her children, for her husband, for things she cannot say out loud. Roman religion does not promise comfort. It promises attention, which is something. Back in the palace, the emperor begins receiving people, one by one, carefully.
Faces blur together, smiles repeat, flattery stacks up like cheap cushions. He listens, he nods, he says very little. This makes everyone nervous. Good. He signs something that will change someone's life. He barely notices. This is also normal. Elsewhere, the retired general wakes late and hates himself for it. He misses purpose. He misses urgency. He tells himself he earned this rest. He does not believe it. He wanders his garden, touching leaves, inspecting statues of himself from a better decade. They look confident, almost smug. He wonders if that man would recognize him now. At a schoolroom, boys recite lines, history, law, duty, all the words Rome loves to hear itself say. One boy stumbles. The teacher sighs deeply, as if personally betrayed. Education in Rome is strict. Mistakes are not moral failings, but they feel like them. The boy corrects himself. He will remember this moment forever. Rome specializes in unforgettable embarrassment. By midday, the heat begins to press down. The city slows. Even ambition needs shade. People retreat indoors. Meals are eaten. Wine is watered down. Nap time is treated as a strategy, not a luxury. The emperor eats lightly. Heavy food makes him suspicious of poison, of betrayal, of digestion itself. He rests briefly, not quite sleep, just a pause, a rare one. The senator attends meetings. He agrees with things he privately doubts. He avoids topics that feel sharp. He survives another morning. His wife hears new rumors, files them away. She will decide later which ones deserve oxygen. Across the city, the slave boy from the night before wakes early from a dream he liked too much. Reality returns quickly. He works, he obeys, he remembers nothing of freedom except the feeling. Rome continues. It always does. By afternoon, the noise returns stronger. Life pushes forward. Decisions are made. Mistakes are locked in. And somewhere beneath it all, under stone and ritual and routine, the same thoughts linger. Am I safe? Am I remembered? Am I enough? Rome never answers these questions. It just keeps moving. And as the sun begins its slow descent, preparing another long evening of thoughts and shadows, we'll stay with the city a little longer, because night will come again, and Rome, somehow, will still be awake.
Part 4. Evening Rituals and the Weight of Reputation. As the afternoon softens, Rome exhales again. The sun lowers itself carefully, as if aware that it has been watched all day. Shadows stretch across stone. Heat loosens its grip. People begin pretending they are not tired, which is a very Roman skill. This is the hour of appearances. In elite households, preparation begins early. Baths are taken, not because of hygiene exactly, but because being seen unbathed would suggest negligence, or worse, decline. The Roman bath is not quiet. It is social, steamy, full of opinions. Men discuss politics with towels on. Women exchange information with surgical precision. A senator soaks, listening more than speaking. This is strategic. People reveal things when relaxed and when naked, especially when naked. He hears a rumor about a rival family falling out of favor. He files it away. He will not repeat it yet. Rumors need timing. Too early and they die. Too late and they're useless. Nearby, a younger man laughs too loudly. This is noted. Loud laughter suggests insecurity. Rome notices everything. In another bathhouse, a former soldier sits quietly, letting warm water ease joints that never healed correctly. He doesn't care about politics anymore. He tells himself this often. It's mostly true. Mostly. He listens to others argue about generals and campaigns, names he knows, battles he remembers differently.
History, he realizes, starts lying almost immediately. As evening approaches, dinners are planned. Not eaten yet, planned. Roman dinners among the elite are performances disguised as meals. Who is invited matters. Who is seated where matters. Who arrives late matters. Who leaves early matters. The food is expensive. The conversation is more so. In one villa, couches are arranged around a low table. Slaves move quietly, rehearsed. Wine is poured carefully. Too much enthusiasm looks unprofessional. The host waits, already calculating. Tonight's dinner is not about pleasure, it's about reassurance, about reminding everyone that he still belongs. Guests arrive. Compliments are exchanged. Some are sincere, most are decorative. They recline, they eat, they talk about art, about philosophy, about how Rome is losing its values. This conversation has been happening for centuries. It will continue for centuries more. Someone mentions the emperor, casually. Everyone adjusts their tone instantly. No one notices themselves doing it. In the corner, a slave pours wine and listens. He hears names, threats disguised as jokes, praise sharpened just enough to hurt. He will remember this, not because he wants to, but because memory is hard to turn off. Elsewhere, in a smaller home, dinner is simpler. Bread, olives, cheese. Enough. A family eats together on stools. They talk about the day, about prices, about work, about nothing important. This kind of meal rarely appears in history books, which is a shame. It happens far more often. As darkness settles, lamps are lit again. The city glows softly, unevenly, like a thought not fully formed. The streets fill with sound, music from somewhere, laughter from somewhere else, arguments drifting from doorways. Night in Rome is not calm, it is active, just differently active. A group of young men wander, already a little drunk. They sing, they shout, they feel immortal. Rome encourages this feeling, briefly. A guard watches them pass, unimpressed. He has seen this before. He will see the consequences later. In the imperial palace, the emperor eats privately. This is safer. He trusts very few people with his food. Trust is rare. Paranoia is plentiful. He thinks about the day, what went well, what might unravel overnight, who smiled strangely. He will sleep later, not yet. In a quiet room, an aristocratic girl practices music. Her fingers ache. She plays anyway. Skill is currency. Marriage is coming, sooner than she would like. She imagines a different life. She does not dwell on it. Rome rewards acceptance, not imagination. As evening deepens, fires are watched carefully. Candles are placed thoughtfully. Everyone remembers the stories. Whole neighborhoods gone, lives reduced to ash. The night watch begins again. Circles repeat. Lanterns sway. A philosopher walks slowly, enjoying the cooler air. He tells himself he is content. He tells himself many things. He observes Rome at night and thinks about impermanence, about how empires fall, about how this one believes it never will. He smiles faintly, not unkindly, just tired. In a high room overlooking the city, the senator from the morning stands at a window. Dinner is over. Guests are gone. He finally exhales. He wonders how he did, what impressions lingered, what mistakes might echo. Reputation in Rome is a living thing. It must be fed, protected, never neglected. He prepares for sleep, slowly, carefully. Across the city, others do the same, some content, some anxious, some too exhausted to think. Rome settles into night again, not fully resting, just lowering its voice. And as lamps dim and thoughts soften, we'll drift with the city once more, toward another stretch of darkness filled with quiet fears, small hopes, and the soft weight of tomorrow.
Part 5. Midnight Thoughts.
and quiet regrets. By midnight, Rome has changed its posture. The loud confidence of the evening fades into something softer, less certain. The kind of quiet that doesn't mean peace, just fewer witnesses. Most lamps are dim now. Oil is expensive. Sleep is practical. Only a few windows still glow, holding people who aren't quite ready to face their own thoughts in the dark. In one such room, a middle-aged senator lies awake again. Different bed, same ceiling, same familiar tension behind the eyes. He replays conversations from dinner, that pause before someone answered, that smile that didn't reach the eyes, that moment he spoke too long. Rome trains you to do this, to audit yourself endlessly. Mistakes here do not fade, they accumulate. He wonders if his father would approve of him. His father who lived under a different emperor, who survived by staying quiet, who taught him that survival was a kind of virtue. The thought is not comforting, but it is familiar. Elsewhere, in a smaller room nearby, his wife sleeps lightly. She wakes often. Years of listening for danger have sharpened her rest into something fragile. She dreams of corridors, long ones, with doors she does not open. Dreams in Rome rarely feel random. They feel like warnings written in a language no one fully understands. Across the city, the emperor is awake again. Of course he is. He sits upright, wrapped in a blanket, staring at nothing in particular. The palace is quiet, too quiet. That bothers him. He thinks about loyalty, how often it's promised, how rarely it lasts. He thinks about his family, which relatives he trusts, which ones he pretends to trust, which ones are already halfway to exile in his mind. Rome has many tools for dealing with discomfort. Distance is a popular one. He rubs his temples and exhales slowly. Tomorrow will demand clarity. Tonight offers none. In another part of the city, a slave woman wakes briefly, disoriented. For a moment, she forgets where she is. That moment is everything. Then the room returns, the walls, the mat, the quiet breathing around her. She closes her eyes again, holding on to the echo of the dream she was having. It involved walking freely, no destination, just movement. She does not know how rare that feeling is. She only knows she misses it. Outside, the streets are mostly empty now. Footsteps echo sharply when they appear. A pair of guards pass, talking softly about nothing important. Important things are too risky to say aloud. They walk the same path they walked last night and the night before that. Repetition is comforting, until it isn't. A stray cat slips between shadows. It knows this city well, better than most humans. It has learned where scraps appear, where danger sleeps, where warmth hides. Rome belongs to animals at this hour, briefly. In a cramped upper floor of an insula, a young man stares at the ceiling, counting cracks. He is not elite, not enslaved, just there. He thinks about work, about money, about how close everything feels to slipping. He tells himself tomorrow will be better. This is a habit, not a belief. Somewhere below him, someone coughs violently. No one responds. Illness in Rome is common, sympathy less so. In a quiet study, a philosopher writes by lamplight. He knows staying awake is bad for him. He does it anyway. He writes about self-control, about accepting fate, about not fearing death. He pauses, rereads, and sighs. Even he does not fully believe himself at midnight. He sets the stylus down, closes his eyes, lets sleep take him mid-sentence. The most honest ending. As the night deepens, Rome seems to shrink inward. Rooms feel smaller. Thoughts feel louder.
People remember things they avoid during the day, regrets, old slights, paths not taken. A retired general wakes suddenly, convinced he heard marching. He listens. There is nothing. He lies back, embarrassed by his own body, by memory's persistence, by how the past refuses to stay past. He will wake tired, again. Near the river, water laps softly against stone. It has seen this city grow. It will see it change. It does not hurry. Rome, for all its urgency, cannot rush the night. Eventually, even the restless drift. Thoughts slow, edges soften. The senator sleeps at last, still frowning slightly. The emperor dozes, one ear alert. The city settles, unevenly, imperfectly. Midnight passes without announcement. Rome does not mark it. Time here is not precise. It is felt. And as the deepest quiet wraps itself around stone and skin alike, we remain here, breathing with the city, letting the dark carry us gently forward toward whatever morning decides to bring next.
Part 6. The longest hour before morning. There is a stretch of night that feels heavier than the rest. Not quite midnight anymore, not even close to morning. Just a long, quiet middle where time seems unsure of itself. Rome sits in that hour now. This is when sleep is deepest for some and impossible for others. The city does not judge. It simply holds everyone where they are. In one house, an elderly matron wakes slowly, confused by silence. She has lived long enough to distrust quiet. In her lifetime, quiet has often meant something went wrong. She listens, counts breaths, remembers faces that no longer belong to the world outside her room. She thinks about how Rome has changed, how emperors came and went, how certainty slowly thinned with age. She once believed Rome was eternal in a very literal sense. Now she suspects it is eternal the way rivers are, always moving, never the same. She drifts back to sleep with that thought, not entirely comforted. Across the city, a young slave boy wakes early, too early, as he always does. His body has learned the schedule better than his mind would like. For a moment, he lies still, hoping this might be one of the rare days when no one calls his name. It won't be. It never is. He stares at the darkness and imagines light arriving slowly, not suddenly, not harshly, just enough to soften the edges. In the palace, the emperor experiences that familiar half-sleep, not rest, just absence. His dreams are shallow, broken into fragments, a voice calling him father, another calling him tyrant. Neither belongs to anyone specific. He wakes briefly and cannot remember which one hurt more. He considers getting up, then doesn't. Authority does not protect you from exhaustion. In a narrow street, a watchman pauses longer than usual. He leans against a wall, listening to his own breathing. He thinks about home, about a bed that is not marble or symbolic, just comfortable. He rubs his eyes and continues on. Dawn will come. It always does. Eventually. Somewhere nearby, a couple argues in whispers. They are careful. Walls here are thin. Reputation is thinner. They argue about money, about promises, about who gave up more. Their voices soften, not because the problem is solved, but because they are tired. Silence returns. In a study lit by one stubborn lamp, an aristocratic teenager reads by choice. This surprises even him. He is expected to become someone important. Important men do not read like this, alone at night. They perform, they conquer, they dominate conversations. He reads anyway. History, lives of men who thought they mattered forever. He finds this both inspiring and faintly ridiculous. He closes the scroll and rests his head against the wall. For once, he feels no urgency,
just curiosity. In a distant insula, a woman wakes to feed a child. The baby cries briefly, then settles. She rocks gently, counts heartbeats, thinks about tomorrow's work. The child sleeps again. She does not. Rome depends on these quiet acts more than it ever admits. Outside, the sky begins its slow transformation. Not light yet, just less dark. The stars fade one by one, unnoticed. They have never needed an audience. In gardens and courtyards, birds stir. They test the air, consider sound. Soon they will lie enthusiastically about the time. A philosopher wakes before his alarm, irritated by his own discipline. He sits up and breathes slowly, practicing calm he will later recommend to others. He accepts the morning, resigns himself to it. This counts as wisdom. In a senator's home, servants begin moving again, quietly resetting the world. Water is poured, doors are opened carefully. The house wakes before its owner. The senator dreams of speeches that go nowhere, of rooms that echo too loudly. He wakes with his jaw tight. Another day has found him. Across Rome, people begin shifting toward consciousness. Bodies ache, minds resist. The night loosens its grip reluctantly. Rome does not wake refreshed, it wakes committed. Committed to routine, to survival, to pretending this is all perfectly normal. And as the first real light touches stone and tile, we linger in that final moment between night and obligation, because this, more than triumphs or monuments, is where Rome truly lives.
Part 7. Morning again, somehow. Morning arrives the same way it always does in Rome. Not gently, not dramatically, just inevitably. Light spills into rooms that never quite feel ready for it. Shadows retreat without apology. The night releases the city like it was never meant to hold it for long. Some people wake before they want to. Others wake because the city insists. In a senator's house, the sounds begin first. Footsteps. Water poured. A door opened a little too quickly. The senator opens his eyes and immediately feels behind. Behind on conversations. Behind on influence. Behind on whatever invisible race Rome is always running. He lies still for a moment, listening. He tells himself this is control. It isn't, but it helps. His wife is already awake, of course. She always wakes before the household officially does. She believes power begins in preparation. She considers her clothing carefully. Too modest looks weak. Too elegant looks ambitious. There is a narrow space in between. She has learned to live there. She gives quiet instructions to a servant. Adjustments, small changes, nothing dramatic. Drama attracts attention. Attention attracts risk. In the imperial palace, the emperor wakes fully now. No lingering dreams, just wait. He sits up slowly, feeling every year of his life at once. Someone asks how he slept. He says fine, because emperors do not complain about sleep. He washes, dresses, and allows the day to claim him piece by piece. Messages arrive early. They always do. Reports, requests, concerns phrased politely enough to be dangerous. He reads them without expression. Expression gives things power. In the streets, Rome reassembles itself. Shops open again. Carts return. The smell of bread spreads, briefly making life feel reasonable. A worker stretches and steps into the day. He does not expect greatness. He expects endurance. This is more realistic. Children weave through crowds, already loud, already late. They will grow into this city, or be worn down by it. Rome is flexible like that. At a schoolroom, boys line up again. Yesterday's mistakes still fresh, today's waiting patiently. The teacher clears his throat. History begins again, as if it ever stopped. In a quieter part of the city, an old man watches the street from a doorway. He no longer participates much. Observation is easier now. He remembers Rome before this emperor, before the last one, before the one before that. The city feels the same and completely different. He smiles faintly and steps back inside. At the Forum, voices rise, arguments bloom immediately. Everyone has somewhere to be, something to prove. A young noble makes his appearance again. He greets people carefully. He notes who responds warmly, who doesn't. This is exhausting, but it works. Nearby, a philosopher listens and says nothing. Silence is his rebellion, also his brand. At the baths, steam rises once more. Yesterday's conversations are replaced with today's versions of the same concerns. Rome loves repetition. It just pretends each cycle is new. In a modest home, a woman prepares food while listening to the city wake fully. She times her movements to the noise outside. This is habit and comfort. She thinks briefly about the night just past, then sets it aside. Mourning does not reward reflection. Across the city, the slave boy begins his workday again, his dream already fading, the feeling gone first. He carries water. He runs errands. He exists efficiently. No one thanks him. This is expected. By mid-morning, Rome is loud, confident again, certain of itself. The night's doubts are buried under motion and noise. They will return later. They always do. The senator attends another meeting. The emperor makes another decision. The philosopher writes another line he hopes will outlast him. The city moves forward, not because it knows where it's going, but because stopping is unthinkable. And so Rome lives another day, balanced between memory and ambition, between fatigue and pride. As the sun climbs higher and the rhythm settles in once more, we stay with the city, unhurried, watching it repeat itself with remarkable confidence, knowing that tonight, when the lamps are lit again, all these thoughts will return, quietly, right where they left off.
Part 8. The Afternoon Drift and the Art of Endurance. By the time the sun reaches its confident height, Rome has fully committed to being awake. The morning urgency has burned itself out. What remains is momentum, the steady, grinding continuation of things that must be done. This is the hour when patience is tested. In the Forum, voices have settled into arguments that loop. The same points, the same gestures, different days pretending to be different debates. A senator listens with half his attention. The other half is already planning lunch. This is not laziness, it is survival. Roman politics required stamina more than brilliance. Brilliance attracted notice. Stamina let you stay. He nods at the right moments, frowns when expected, speaks briefly. People respect brevity, or at least they mistrust it less. Nearby, a rival watches him carefully. Everyone is always watching someone. This is exhausting, but Rome calls it civic duty. In the palace, the emperor enters the long middle of the day. This is the least flattering part of power. The excitement is gone. The decisions remain. Petitions blur together. Faces lose definition. Voices repeat the same rhythms of praise and need. He listens anyway, because refusing to listen feels dangerous, and listening feels equally so. He approves something minor, delays something major. This feels wise. It might be. He eats lightly again, always lightly. A man with enemies does not trust fullness. Elsewhere, in shaded streets, shopkeepers negotiate, slowly, carefully. Every coin matters. A woman argues over price with practiced precision. She knows how far she can push. She stops just before offense. This is an underrated skill.
In an insula, the heat settles heavily. Upper floors grow unbearable. People move less, speak less. A man naps sitting up. Another stares at the wall, letting time pass without interacting with it. This is rest, Roman style. Children are quieter now, not by choice, by temperature. At a schoolroom, lessons slow. The teacher's voice softens despite himself. He remembers being young, briefly. He dismisses the students early. This will not be mentioned again. Kindness in Rome is usually anonymous. In a garden, a retired general sits in the shade watching leaves shift in the breeze. He has nothing scheduled. This still feels unnatural. He thinks about battles that no longer matter, about commands that echo only in his memory. He wonders if history will compress him into a paragraph. It probably will. He closes his eyes and lets the sun warm his face. For a moment there is no rank, no expectation, just sensation. Across the city, a philosopher walks slowly, deliberately. He believes in moderation, especially in the heat. He thinks about endurance, about how much of life is simply tolerating conditions without becoming bitter. He is not sure if Rome encourages this philosophy or actively resists it. In a quiet home, an aristocratic woman oversees spinning. Her hands move automatically. Her thoughts drift. She thinks about her children, about marriages that will be arranged, about futures that will be chosen for them. She tells herself this is stability. She hopes she is right. As afternoon stretches on, the city grows drowsy. Not asleep, just slower. Sounds blur together. Footsteps lose urgency. Even ambition takes a short rest. This is when Rome feels most human, less performative, less sharp. Mistakes happen more easily now. A word said too casually, a promise made without full attention. These will matter later. In the palace, the emperor pauses, just briefly. He looks out at the city from a shaded balcony. From here, Rome looks calm, ordered, manageable. He knows better. Still, he allows himself the illusion. Power depends on illusions. Down below, life continues, quietly, persistently. People endure heat, endure hierarchy, endure one another. Rome is very good at endurance. As the sun begins its slow descent again, softening the edges of buildings and tempers alike, the city prepares unconsciously for another transition, another evening, another performance. And we stay right here in this slow, warm stretch of time where nothing dramatic happens and everything that matters quietly continues. Part 9. Twilight and the Softening of Rome. As the sun dips lower, Rome begins to shift again. Not abruptly, not dramatically, just gradually, like the city itself has taken a deep breath and is settling into something softer. The heat of afternoon fades, leaving a cooler, more forgiving air. People straighten. Streets fill with movement that feels purposeful, but less urgent. The rhythm slows, as if Rome itself is exhaling after a long day. In elite houses, preparations for evening begin quietly. Baths are drawn, tables are arranged. Servants move deliberately, aware that the shadows have changed, and with them the atmosphere of every room. A senator paces in his study, considering what tomorrow might demand. Nothing urgent yet, but Rome's demands are rarely loud, they creep. He thinks of alliances, of favors owed, of gestures that must be carefully timed. He pauses at a window and looks out across the city. The rooftops glow faintly in the soft light. Smoke rises lazily from chimneys. Children shout in the distance, their energy not yet exhausted. The scene is calm, but calm in Rome is often only a temporary illusion. In another villa, a woman lights lamps early,
enjoying the golden flicker against her painted walls. She places food for the household in neat arrangements. She checks on her children quietly. She listens for whispers from corridors she cannot see. Every action matters, even the smallest.
Part 10. The Night Returns. The day has run its course, and Rome begins to lean back into darkness. The sun has finally disappeared behind the horizon, leaving behind a cool violet sky. The city exhales. Not all at once, not evenly. Some streets are still noisy, some houses still glow with life, but the overall pulse slows. In elite homes, lamps are lit carefully. Shadows stretch across painted walls, bringing scenes to life in the flickering light. Servants move silently, cleaning, preparing, arranging. Every gesture is deliberate. Mistakes are dangerous, even at night. Even as fatigue pulls at them, they maintain rhythm and control. The senator sits in his study again. The day's work done, but questions linger. Who is loyal? Who is opportunistic? Who will speak when silence is safer? He ponders, not for clarity, but for survival. Rome teaches you to stay awake long after sleep is overdue. His wife walks by, checking curtains, lighting lamps, ensuring the household projects the correct image of order. She has long mastered the subtle art of influence that requires no speeches, no official power, only observation, timing, and quiet persuasion. Her glance is measured, her smile polite, her mind already 3 steps ahead. In the palace, the emperor moves through chambers lit by torches. He hears the distant murmur of guards, the occasional shuffle of a servant. He considers the weight of the city, the empire, and the human lives that orbit around him. The night offers a peculiar clarity, stripped of the distractions of light and daytime politics. It is both comforting and unsettling. Down the streets, the rhythm of life slows but does not stop. Bakeries prepare for the next day, carrying the aroma of fresh bread into the cooling air. Merchants close their stalls, counting coins by lamplight, while apprentices yawn through simple tasks. Life is both mundane and essential, layered in repetition and quiet effort. In a small insula, a young slave girl finishes chores and takes a moment to look out her window. The stars are clearer here, away from the larger streetlights. She traces constellations she has learned from whispers and imagination, letting herself wonder briefly about worlds beyond her reach. Then the moment passes and duty calls her back into reality. In the forum, the grand debates of the day have long ended. Only faint echoes remain, carried lightly on the night wind. The city breathes with subtle sounds, a dog scratching, the distant laughter of children, water dripping from fountains, the gentle creak of wooden doors. Rome is quieting, but it is never fully silent. A philosopher sits under a pergola listening to the city exhale. He reflects on time, history, and human ambition. He knows nothing is permanent here, yet everything persists. He writes a few notes, his stylus moving slowly, rhythmically. The ideas may not last, Rome may not notice, but still, he writes. In private rooms, exhausted families share quiet dinners. Conversations are soft, practical, immediate. Small joys and concerns coexist, the taste of food, the safety of a child, the minor victories of surviving the day. This quiet diligence, invisible to history, sustains the city as much as politics and wars ever have. Above it all, the night settles fully. The emperor finally retires to his private chamber, letting the weight of authority give way for a few hours to the simpler human need to rest. The senator does the same. Servants and workers find corners to close their eyes. Even the city's animals relax, sensing the reduced bustle. And yet, Rome remains awake in subtle ways. The night carries memories, concerns, whispers, and shadows.
It is attentive. It is patient. It is enduring. As we linger in this calm, dimly lit expanse, we float with the city, absorbing its quiet rhythms, its gentle persistence, its endless cycles of life and observation. Night is not a pause in Rome. It is a continuation, softer, slower, reflective. A time when everyone, from emperor to slave, aristocrat to philosopher, shares in the delicate endurance of a city that never truly sleeps. And here, in this serene, stretching darkness, we will pause with Rome once more, letting the gentle weight of night carry us into the next chapter of its endless story.